Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Anastasia Gerali. She is a psycho-spiritual teacher and international healer, creator of rapid alignment therapy. Welcome to the show, Anastasia.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We will be talking about healing of mind, body, and spirit. We'll learn about all that from you. But before that, let's learn a bit more about your journey, your background, so that the audience learns about who they are listening to.
Yeah. Well, what would you like to know? I mean, my personal journey is really what catapulted me into the work that I do today. It was my first divorce in 2016, which was the end of a very, very toxic, very unhealthy relationship, which really sent me into my personal development journey. And although at the time I couldn't have said it, now I'm so grateful for everything that happened the way that it happened, because I wouldn't have been able to be where I am today had it not been for a very big heartbreak.
Right, right. So how did your journey into, if I understand, you had a lot of, background into fashion and
Mm.
also your transition into the psycho-spiritual teaching.
Mm. Well, as I said, during 2016, when I like to call it my beta version. I was a beta version of myself then. I was really living on autopilot, just like everybody else, I believe, is living on autopilot to a certain extent, not really questioning why I was getting the results that I was getting. I was just working very hard to try and get different results. And from what I saw, the formula that I was using for life wasn't giving me the same results that I saw other people have. And it definitely wasn't giving me the results that I wanted professionally, personally, financially, emotionally. I felt very disconnected from myself. So that very, very painful chapter of my life, which within the space of 30 days, not only did I lose my marriage, my home, but I also had to file for bankruptcy and close my first business, which was a fashion-based business. And that little window of losing everything, it was extremely painful. I was very isolated, very alone. And it was during a moment, a very, very dark moment, that I got the download, as we call it, or the inspiration in my mind to try a different formula. And it was that curiosity of, what does that mean, a different formula? What formula can I change? And it's the formula of life. And that's what sent me into looking deeper into myself with what exactly am I using? How am I being? How am I thinking? How am I feeling that is creating this reality, which is a version that I do not want? And what started as, I guess, surface level personal development, I just wanted to feel better, and I wanted love to feel better. It started with dating advice and dating coaching, and then law of attraction, manifestation, and it sent me deeper and deeper into psychology, into subconscious mind, into spiritual ascension.
Right. And talking of psychology, because you talk about psycho-spiritual teaching and and healing. So when you use the term psychology, does it mean you also have some qualifications about psychology, uh, so that the audience knows exactly? Okay, this is. Do you have any certificate or any? Are you a doctor in psychology, or you just learn it out of that? And then we'll come to the other questions.
Sure. I'm trained in clinical hypnotherapy, and my major or my expertise is in psychosomatics and trauma healing.
Right, right. So now help us understand from a common person's perspective, when you say you are a psycho spiritual teacher and healer, what is it that you exactly do? How
Mm.
does it benefit? How does it benefit? So that a simple person can understand and approach you if they need this particular service of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that invitation. I tend to work 98% with women because I do specialize in feminine psychology. There is a difference in how women think, feel, behave, and how men think, feel, behave. And that's also biological and hormonal difference as well. So I work with women to help them to unleash their full potential. We unleash our full potential by aligning the body, mind, and spirit. Because as long as we are working on a cognitive, on a mind level, we're very much in our masculine. If we're only working on the emotional level, we're very much in our feminine. And we need to be able to balance those two parts of us if we want to create harmony in our personal life, in our professional life, in our finances, and in our emotional world.
Right, right. And so let me talk about this thing you talk about feminine psychology. What is this feminine psychology that you talk about? Does it mean you understand about how women? Tell us a bit about feminine psychology. And does that also mean that when you talk about feminine psychology, it also means about men's psychology also? Because both have to be known to be able to give the
Yeah.
best opinion or options about things.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on there, AJ. When we speak about feminine and masculine, we're speaking about the polarity, right? In a relationship as well, we're not just two people, the man and the woman. We are essentially four parts of us, the feminine parts of both of us and the masculine parts of both of us. And that beautiful combination of those four parts of us will create a certain dynamic in our relationship. When I speak, though, specifically to women about feminine psychology, we're looking at women who have been raised in a very masculine society, who are maybe even thinking and functioning more from a masculine energy, because that is how the Western world's education and workforce center is really set up. It's set up by men for men, and women joined later. And this is why the classic business model or the classic work model doesn't work so well for women. 60% more women than men will suffer burnout once or more times in their life. And unfortunately, there isn't enough research done to support that, simply because research done on women costs more than research done on men. So even when we're talking about medicines, when we're talking about anything, when they say that research supports something, that's because that research has been done on men. And that's why it won't necessarily garner the same results for women that it does for men. Women need a tribe to heal. Women need to belong to a community in order to function very well. That's why the really old adage is, it takes a village to raise a child. That's because our ancestors used to raise our children in villages. Everyone would contribute to raising a child. Today's model, where it's just mother and father, maybe both partners are working, we see that children, the way that we were raised as well, we didn't necessarily have the support that we needed in order for us to become balanced, harmonized communities and people.
Absolutely. So, what sort of things that you would want men, especially, or others, to understand about feminine psychology, so that there is a better understanding of women around us, and
Mm.
that women also are able to, as you say, unleash their full potential.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that we struggle with is communication, either as individuals or as partners, as couples. Um, I myself, for sure, have been navigating these seas for a while. And the main difference here really is that men talk to fix problems, women talk to be heard. And this is a very big frustration that we have, where we feel like we're not being understood by our partners. My advice to men who want to be supportive of their partner is, when their partner is sharing something with them, ask her what she needs. What do you need right now? Do you need me to witness you, to hold you, to comfort you, or do you need me to help you find a solution? Because men automatically go to, okay, there's a problem, let's find a solution. And that's where women feel like they're not being heard or not being understood. Women to men, men tend to shut down while they're doing their problem solving and will come to you once they're closer to finding a solution. So it's not him pulling away, it's him going into his man cave trying to problem solve.
Right. And what would you like women to understand about men's psychology? You mentioned a few things, but specifically, I want you to talk about that, so that it becomes very clear. Okay, this is how men think. This is how women should also understand men in today's time.
I think for women, it's learning how to ask for what you need in as an unattached way as possible. There's a lot in terms of like dating and relationship information that we see currently online. There's a lot of entitlement coming from women that, oh, a man should do this, a man should be this, a man should. And what that does is that alienates us from our partners. Instead of us leaning into support, leaning into love, we're now doing exactly what society has done and pointing to all the shortcomings of our partner or of men as a whole. And I feel that in the rise of the feminine, it's also our duty to make sure that we raise our men with us, that we really encourage them, that we really support them and create a space for them to be able to come and communicate, to be able to unburden their load, because men are under just as much pressure, if not more, by society as women have been.
Right, Anastasia. So, where is the discord? Because there seems to be a lot of discord between, men and women in terms of understanding each other. And that is where a lot of healing, trauma, and all these things have started coming up. A lot of this we can find in social media, we can find in different aspects of our lives. Shouldn't all this better understanding about things lead to better calibration between men and women rather than pulling them apart? What are the main reasons of discord here, Anastasia? You know about these things. You talk about both the spiritual side of it, psychological side of it, and you also talk to a lot of women and also men, if I understand. So help us understand so that it becomes very clear when things are so clear that men try to fix things, women look at the emotional side of things. Then why can't they just be in their best of situation, best of themselves, so that everyone thrives? Help us understand in that backdrop.
Yeah. I believe that the reason that we feel so disconnected from each other is because we're so disconnected from ourselves. Everything is just a reflection, everything is a mirror. The disconnection that we feel in society, the disconnection that we feel in partnerships, the disconnection that we feel in our communities is really a result of us being disconnected from ourselves. This has to do a lot with modern societal norms, with particularly the Western's influence on the whole world. And when I speak specifically about relationships, because I have a lot of women that come to me looking to meet their soulmate or their twin flame or to find the one. And all this language is really just labels for more attachment to a certain false experience, right? If you really want divine unionship, meaning if you want to feel divinely united with your partner, it begins with creating union within yourself. Everything is a reflection, everything is a mirror. And in order for our whole society to feel connected at a core level, because we are connected. We're all extensions of our planet Earth. We're all cells of the Earth. We're all living organisms of one single being, and that's Mama Gaia, the Earth. And in order for us to move together, grow together, flow together, we need to come back to ourselves. We are the expression, the manifestation of God in many, many, many different facets, in many different particles. But essentially, we are one and the same thing, looking for our home, our soul home.
Right, looking for our soul home. So, help us understand now this spiritual, psycho spiritual healing part. Does it apply to men, women, both? Is it only for one particular group? How does it, and how do you put those two things together? Psychology is much more about science, and spirituality is about, as we know, it's about beyond science. So, help us understand how do you bring those two things together and help people, especially women.
Yeah. So science obviously wants to prove everything in order for something to be true. The thing with science is that very much as human beings, we can only explain what we understand. There's so much more that we still don't understand. Doesn't mean that it doesn't cease to be true. We just haven't evolved or expanded enough to be able to prove the existence of everything, or to prove certain formulas, right? And I find that very much like my polarity work, masculine and feminine, the psychology it's a very masculine approach. It's very cognitive, it's very mind approach, whereas spirituality is the very feminine approach. It's the more esoteric approach, or the more esoteric things that we tend to gravitate towards. Now, psychology without spirituality tends to lack depth, and spirituality without psychology tends to dismiss certain uncomfortable truths. So if someone's a little bit too spiritual and they haven't done the psychological maturation or the psychological evolution and growth, then they'll be very flaky, very woo-woo, very out there, not very grounded. So if you want your head to be in the clouds, then your feet need to be firmly grounded on the ground in order for you to go higher, right? As above, so below, as within, so without. I feel like for us to work purely on one without working or developing in the other, we're only really growing on one side. So we're going to have a really strong masculine side or a really strong feminine side, and a malnourished opposite side.
Absolutely. And then therein comes your rapid alignment therapy. What is this rapid alignment therapy about? How does it work in situations like this?
It works in two parts. So, rapid alignment therapy is coupled with my rapid alignment hypno breath. So, the alignment therapy session essentially will help us to dive into the unconscious mind, because I believe that everything can be programmed and unprogrammed on a subconscious level, because we're on autopilot, and our subconscious mind essentially is always the one that is in charge, is always the one that is playing out certain emotions or certain automatic responses. And that's what's creating our physical reality. So the alignment therapy would look at the subconscious mind and the emotional body. So it'll look at what you have, what brain patterns you have created, depending on what traumas or what experiences you had as a child, and then the emotional attachment to it, and then upgrading it. And then the second part is the somatic part. That's the hypno breath part. Through breath, we release stored trauma and stored emotions on the physical level. So we're working on the mental and emotional body and the somatic physical body as well.
Wonderful. There is much to learn about all these things from you, Anastasia, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you, learn, get your help in their healing as well as transformation. So, what's the best way for them to do so?
Thank you so much, AJ. You can definitely follow me on Instagram. And I also have a free 3-day soul manifestation code workshop. So that's accessible to absolutely everyone. You can follow me on Instagram. You'll be able to see it in the links attached there. Or you can always comment brain on any one of my contents, my reels or my posts on Instagram, and then you'll automatically get the DM link to that the 3-day soul manifestation code event, where I go much more deeper into the psychosomatic manifestations and the emotional and physical manifestations of a brain pattern that is not supportive of your full potential.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.